Welcome back to Grilling Dinner. Today I'm going to show you how I smoked this 8-pound pork butt in about 14 hours on my Campchef with Lumberjack, cherry, and apple pellets. We're going to start out putting this mustard on here. It's just a binder for the rub to stick to. You're not going to taste this at all. I do the same thing on my pork ribs. It works out well. Just get a nice even coat. I'm going to use Killer Hogs, the barbecue rub. This is one of my favorite rubs for pulled pork. Put it on heavy. It's a big chunk of meat. It takes a lot of rub. It's going to help build that bark up throughout the cooking process. Make sure you get all sides, including the edges. Having that mustard on there helps so you can see where the rub's at. I probably should have better prepared for this video. Got myself a new container of mustard, but we got it. No, this is just some Famous Dave's rib rub. I just sprinkle some of this on top. You don't have to do it, but why not? If you got it, use it. And pat it all in. We're going to put the fat side down. And we're going to store it in the refrigerator for about 6 hours before we start cooking. I just didn't want to wake up early and have to do this, so I'm doing it before I go to bed. Alright, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't look like it, but I got a big bright light right there. So I'm going to use a pellet tube for this smoke. Got some more of the same Lumberjack pellets in it. But here's an easy way that I use to light this thing. You could use a torch, but I don't have a torch, so I do have a heat gun. It only takes a few seconds. Once it gets lit, blow any flames out. You got about 5 hours of consistent smoke. Just set it on the grates in the smoker. Put it at the opposite end of the internal temperature probe of the grill so you don't mess with that. And it's not necessary, but I like to have extra smoke. Well, it's now 4:30 in the morning. I got this Campchef pellet smoker set on high smoke. Got the pork shoulder, pork butt, Boston butt, whatever you want to call it, sitting in there. I put it on that little chicken rack. That's going to come in handy later. Got our pellet tube smoking. Got our temperature probe from our Inkbird thermometer stuck into the thick part of that meat. And I can monitor everything from my phone now inside the house. Make sure we got some pellets in there, because I'm going to go lay down and take a nap after this gets going. So it's been smoking for an hour. I just want to keep my eye on it. You can see in the graph on the upper left, grill temperature is 225, the internal temperature of the meat 54 degrees. I'm going to spritz it with straight apple cider vinegar and sprinkle a little bit more of that rub on there. Start creating layers of flavor here. It's going to make a nice bark. Now we're 4 hours into the cook. I got a little nap in. The internal temperature is 127. You can see on that graph it's climbing pretty quick. It's deceiving because in the beginning you're going to think this thing's going to be done way sooner than you need it. I usually plan for an hour and a half to 2 hours a pound at 225 degrees. Now we're 6 hours into the cook. Grill's still at 225, the meat's up to 153. Man, it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's keep spritzing this. Put a little bit more rub on there. We'll close her back up. You see, we still haven't used much pellet. Now we're 8 hours into the cook. It's noon here. Temperature's stuck at about 160. We call this the stall. You can write it out and it'll sit here for hours. But I don't have time for that. So I'm going to take this thing off and wrap it in aluminum pan with some foil. I'll show you that now. But first we're going to put some of this Killer Hogs vinegar sauce on here. That's going to be good stuff. Vinegar and pulled pork just go great together. Remember that chicken rack that we had it on in the smoker? I just picked that whole rack up, put it in this pan. Makes it easy. Makes it really easy later when it starts to fall apart. It's hard to move it. And we're gonna move it again. Now I got some cheap apple juice here. Just gonna pour some in the pan. But you gotta make sure you don't pour so much that it touches the meat. That's what that chicken rack's for again. It holds the meat up off the bottom. And we're gonna make some nice juice to put over the top of this at the end. I got 2 layers of extra heavy duty aluminum foil here. We're gonna seal this thing up nice and tight. And it's gonna go back on the smoker. So it took 3 hours wrapped like that, and I turned the temperature of the smoker up to 275. But now we're at 203 degrees internal temperature. Let's unwrap this thing. That looks good. It even smells better. Look at all those juices down there. Nice looking bark, good color. Looks like that bone's gonna fall out right now. So we're going to cover this up with 2 layers of aluminum foil again. Now it's got to rest. If you got to rest this for 2, 3, 4 hours, sometimes even longer, put it in a cooler, cover it with some towels, and it'll stay hot. It'll be so hot you can't even touch it. But I'm only going to let this one rest an hour because I'm hungry. So I'm going to throw some towels over the top. Just let it sit on the counter. Let those juices settle back down inside of it. And we'll be ready to pull this pork. So it's been about an hour and 15 minutes. Let's unwrap this thing. I know it's still going to be hot. Now for the real test. Let's see if this bone pulls right out. Nice and clean. Oh yeah. Look at that. Perfect. That's how you know a pork butt's done, when that bone pulls out. Now I'm just gonna start pulling this thing apart with my hands. But it's hot. These aren't insulated gloves. So I recommend you get some of those and don't just use latex gloves like I am. So I'm gonna grab these bear claws. These things work great. You can pick these up on Amazon. They're not too expensive, but they're worth it. Just keep shredding this into whatever size pieces you want. I'm going to make some sandwiches with it. Let me speed it up for you a little. Here's where that chicken rack comes in handy again. That's the fat cap. Chicken rack holds it from just getting all over in the juice. Alright, now I got a fat separator. We're going to pour all that juice that we made right through the strainer on top. It'll catch any pieces. Let it sit a minute and that fat will float to the top. You know what we're going to do next. First we got to clean up our mess. We're going to sprinkle a little dash of that rub back on here. That stuff tastes so good. Mix it up a little bit. This is another one of those steps that you don't have to do, but why not? Just makes it better. Now that juice, all those fatty oils are floating on top. And this then takes the good juice and drains it out the bottom. You don't want to use the whole thing, but you get the point. And that's how you make my style pulled pork. Took about 14 hours cook time, hour and 15 minutes rest time. If you liked the video, learned something new, smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell. I post videos every weekend.